before we get into the actual program, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, which is PayFast. Really just been supporting us throughout the years, and even last year with the lockdown, they've really just been a key supporter of our community. So I would also like to encourage everybody that maybe wants to launch an online store or implement any e-commerce stuff to maybe just visit their website, because they do provide a range of different e-commerce solutions, invoicing, event ticketing, and other kinds of invoicing e-commerce solutions. So if you do have the time, please do just visit their website and see all the amazing things that they have to offer. So yeah, so our speaker, like I said, I'm very excited to have her. I'm actually a groupie for her. I've been stalking her Twitter for the past year, and she's really doing amazing stuff. And I'm just really excited to have her. But before we start with the fireside chat or the interview, I just want to read a small part of her bio, just so that everybody's aware of the amazing things that she's doing. So Shiela Yabo is a business strategist, venture builder, and project manager with experience on entrepreneurship from both Africa and recently from Silicon Valley. She has a wealth of experience in new venture launch and support, business acceleration, systems thinking, and leadership through mentorship. She has designed and executed multiple entrepreneurship and event and innovation support programs at the University of Cape Town and for external partners. She's currently program manager for the Solution Space, which is an ecosystem for early stage ventures at the Graduate School of Business at the University of Cape Town. She is responsible for strategic and operational management, planning, program design, and delivery of entrepreneurship programs. And she's also an experienced ideation bootcamp facilitator and now an angel investor. Welcome, Shiela.
Thank you so much, Refilo. It's always so weird to hear someone reading about you or talking about you. But thank you so much for the welcome and for the intro, and hello to everyone that has joined us today.
Yeah, no, your bio is quite a mouthful. I was catching my breath, but yeah, like I said, we're very excited to have you here. And once again, thank you for availing yourself and really sharing your experiences with our community. So without wasting any more time, I would just like to maybe, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the, your professional background, can you maybe just tell us about your upbringing or your background in general, and some of the experiences that made Shiela who she is today?
Cool. Okay, so I'm Shiela Yabo, and I won't tell you my age, but I was born in Mpumalanga, spent the most formative years of my life, so the first 7 years of my life there, then moved to the Eastern Cape, which is where my mom is from. So my dad, Mpumalanga, my mom is from the Eastern Cape. So stayed in the Eastern Cape for a few years, and then came to Cape Town when I was 11. Yeah, so I guess I've become a Cape Townian now. So I've been in Cape Town for most of my life, my early childhood, and now. Grew up in a township, grew up in Nyanga. A lot of people know Nyanga for all the bad reasons in Cape Town. I grew up there, went to a township high school, primary school. And then I studied at UCT for my undergraduate degree, also my postgraduate degree. I'm a mother to a boy. He's 9 and he's the center of my world. And yeah, I guess that's about it in the personal side of things. And I'm just, a curious individual who's always trying to learn new things, meet new people. Yeah.
I think, when I was reading your bio and your academic background, it seems as if your primary or your initial degree was within the social sciences space. And, social science and business seem like two completely different things. So I just wanted to maybe find out from you, how did you make that connection, and like how were you able to really carve out that niche market for yourself?
Yeah, I always say it's actually not different worlds. It shouldn't be different worlds, because business is all about people. You are either developing solutions for people, products for people. So everything in business wouldn't exist without the human part of it. So in metric, actually, I did accounting, and I thought I'm going to be an accountant. I really loved it. Got to varsity. I was like a hippie, young. I was like sister of the soil type of person with dreadlocks and all of that. And I was really interested in human behavior and how we show up in the world. So that's how I ended up in social sciences. I actually wanted to do film and media production. I got to UCT, it wasn't what I was expecting. I wanted to be holding cameras and all of that. And here I was studying how video started, black and white stuff. Like, no, this is not what I signed up for. Yeah, so for the second semester, I changed my majors, and I changed it to social anthropology, which is really a study of how communities show up and how they understand and articulate whatever is happening around them. And I fell in love actually with medical anthropology. I hope that I will go back to it one day, which is really how a study of how different people from different backgrounds, different cultures experience illness, and how they relate to illness. What it is. People might say, "Oh, you are, I don't know, there's something wrong with you medically," and your parents are like, "No, this child just needs a goat." Just those different ways of explaining illnesses. And of course, I did gender studies, and then post my undergrad, I then developed this interest to learn, the intersectionality between business and humans, or business and society. I think that's how they frame it in the academic space, of how the two are interrelated and how they intersect. And then I decided to do a postgraduate diploma in management practice. It's really business administration. And I think that's where my experience was enriched. I was like, everything that I've been assuming, actually it's that business is just human behavior. And if you understand how humans behave and you get to understand your customers, then you know what you are doing. And I think that's what I've been deliberate about in everything that I do. It's always people-centered. The way I lead the startup teams that I work with, I always try to impart that philosophy that, yes, we have deliverables, we have all of that, but I think I always put people first, because without people, nothing can happen really.
I think the one thing that I like about what you're saying is that, business is about about human behavior. So 2 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks back, I was on Twitter, and one of our previous speaker, who was Label Lion and the voice of marketing in Africa, was saying that she's doing amazing things in terms of in the marketing and the media space. So she made she posted something on Twitter to say that you know what, you do business with people, you don't do business with their bank accounts. So if you can appeal to the human, then you can appeal to what they spend their money on. So I don't think many times people don't make that connection between business and human behavior. You just thinking, okay, I need the money, I need their money, I need their money. But for them to spend their money, you then need to understand what makes them spend their money and what do they want to spend their money on. So yeah, that's yeah. So that was quite interesting for me, and to hear you also like going like backing it is quite something else. So you are currently the program manager for the solution space at the Graduate School of Business at UCT. Can you maybe just tell us a little bit about
so
what
I head up the solution space. It's not just an accelerator or it's a lot of things, and that's why we refer to it as an ecosystem, because we have all these different players or different elements of support that we offer, but all for early stage entrepreneurs or early stage ventures, firstly in the university and also the ecosystem. So we run various programs. We have academic programs in entrepreneurship and innovation. We are part of the University of Cape Town, particularly the business school. And one of the programs that we are very active in is the MBA program. There's a specialization in entrepreneurship and innovation, and we facilitate those specialization courses. So that's the academic side, a lot of research, but the core of what we do is the practical side of running a business. We love supporting new businesses. I love seeing someone talking about their idea, and then in the next few months, it's growing into a business, and that is what the core of our work is about. So we help entrepreneurs, ventures launch. So going from an idea to a full business or product. That's basically what we do. And then within that, we try and leverage on other ecosystem partners. You know, we work closely with the private sector, corporates. We work with other higher education institutions. We also work closely with the community, so we support community development programs. We actually have two hubs, physical spaces, one in the business school and then another one in Philippi. Philippi is a township close to Nyanga, where I grew up. And so we thought about access. You know, we might have all these resources in the what we call the waterfront ecosystem, but not necessarily everyone has access to that. Not necessarily everyone has money to take it, takes it to town every day to access our programs. So we just replicated what we had in the business school and took it right into the middle of a township. Of course, we had to adapt a lot of what we did in the waterfront and in Philippi, because I think the profile of the entrepreneur is, you know, the capability is the same, but the circumstances are not always the same. Actually, most of the time, they are not the same. If I think about myself when I was still in the township, like I couldn't necessarily have access to data, access to the Wi-Fi, food on the table at times. So we've had to adapt a lot of what we do, but we do have that physical space in Philippi. The flagship program that we run is an incubation and acceleration program, depending on the stage of the venture. We currently run it with IOBA, which is part of the MTN group. And that program particularly is aimed at people who are building, you know, startups that have a potential to be high impact and high impact is, are you solving the right or big enough problem? Are you solving a real problem? That's what we look at when we are sourcing entrepreneurs. We do a lot, as you can, and then we have events and other things, hackathons, all in the solution space.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, with what you were talking about, I think it's Felipe. Felipe. Yes. Because I wanted to ask, is the program only restricted to the university, or does it go outside? And now that you've answered that, does it extend beyond the province?
So before, because before COVID, we focused on actually the startups that we've had were in Cape Town, sometimes in Joburg, but people who could travel sometimes and come and meet us in person, or when we are in our satellite campus in Sandton, then we would have those interactions. Currently, the program that we've been running, I think it has been a COVID forced us to quickly take everything fully online. So when lockdown started, we had a hybrid model where if you could come on campus, we said, okay, come and be part of the community. But if you couldn't join, we ran most of the support online anyway. So when COVID started, then we were forced to take everything online, which has been quite an eye-opener in how you support entrepreneurs. And I always say it's not necessarily about being there physically. You can still be there, but not connect with people or offer them, what they require. What has been interesting for me and what I've learned supporting startups is it's really about the experience and how supportive the founder feels in the process. So, and it could be like a physical program where you have to be in class, or it could be online, but it's really having a match on, is this the right program for me? Are we supporting the people? That was a long answer, but for the one that the cohort that is starting on Monday, actually, we have people from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Somalia, all over Africa, and most of them are South Africans. So it's not restricted only to Cape Town.
Yeah, I actually want to also congratulate you on the amazing work that you're doing there, because, and like I said, I stalk your Twitter page. So I see you every now and again interacting with some of the startups that came from the solution space. And I really have to say that they're doing amazing things. And to know that we are talking to somebody that is somehow also responsible in assisting them reach that next level, it's quite something else. So personally, I want to dip my foot in the solution space, but that's a conversation for another day. Okay, so my question then, since you work with a lot of startups, I just wanted to say, like, what would you say are some of the mistakes that startups make when pitching to an investor, and how do they then make themselves attractive or appealing?
Do I have a number here, because I can talk the whole day? How many? There's a lot.
If you've been talking too much, I'll
okay. I think the first one really is not understanding the problem that you are trying to solve. So going to an investor and saying, I'm raising R1 million for this thing, but you haven't really understood your market. You don't know your customer, you don't know what their pain points, or you are making a lot of assumptions about your customers or that market. And trust me, when you are pitching to someone, they can tell when you are just pulling numbers out of a hat without backing them up with data. So, and I think also just being empathetic to the problem. You might not be your own, like you might not be a user for your product. So you might not have gone through whatever issue you are trying to solve. If not, you have to show that you fully understand what the problem is, and how you are solving it. What else is currently happening there? Knowing the market is critical, because you can't just wake up, have an idea, you don't know if the market is ready or if there is even a market for it in the first place. And adding to that, not having customer insights, it sounds like it's difficult. It's really not. And I always say, get your product or your service as quickly as you can to the hands of your customer. And when you pitch to someone, you say, I've interviewed 100 potential users. This is what they are saying about my product, and this is how much they are willing to pay for it. And share what you've learned through that journey, that actually we thought that they wanted the problem to be solved this way. Actually, this is what they are saying. Therefore, this is what we are providing. And that's number two. And then mastering the whole thing, but there's a mismatch between your team and what you are trying to do. In early stage, people invest in the team mainly, because everyone has ideas. But I think for me, what sets you apart is your team. Is your team the right group of people to execute on this idea? And that refers to their capabilities. Do they have the relevant experience working in that sector or vertical? Is it a balanced team? Do you have like a CEO type of person who likes talking, who won't mind going out there speaking about the product? Do you have someone that is going to build the actual product? Because a lot of what we do, we pitch things and then we don't execute on them. That one always gets to me. And you're like, this is so exciting. I'm waiting for you to do things on this thing. And people are just not pulling the weight. So having a balanced team and having a very clear go-to-market strategy. We can sit on the table, brainstorm, build this beautiful product. How are you going to get it to your customers? Like, what does that journey look like? That's the other thing that an investor will look at and they'll be like, and then just being coachable. And coachable doesn't mean gullible, that you take in everything, but someone that is open to learn. You see it actually when someone is pitching, then they start being defensive, like, why are you asking me that? This is my idea. You don't know what you're talking about. It's always those red flags. I think I'll just give one more. It's saying you want 1 million rands. You're not saying how you are going to spend this 1 million rands and why do you even need this 1 million rands. Because if you ask me for 1 million rands, you don't know what you are going to do with that 1 million rands. For me as an investor, that's a red flag. Like, nope, I can't. That needs to be very clear. And also, like, what have you contributed to your own idea before an investor puts in their own money?
Okay. I think for me, what stood out from those points is the go-to-market strategy. Because, you'll be there pitching, yes, and these are my customers, and like you list all the different kinds of customers that you have, but having that strategy of reaching them, it's quite something else. And I think having places like Solution Space that can help you maybe figure out or navigate those kinds of areas is quite important, because a lot of small businesses or startups, or especially those are still in ideation, the clients, but how do you reach them? So I think for me, that's what stood out for me. So my follow-up question, now that you sorted out your nicks and crooks here and there with the investor, and you have somebody that's interested in buying or partnering with you, like when is the right time to consider selling shares in your company to raise capital, and how do startups then prevent or protect themselves from being taken
VC is
advantage
very
of?
attractive. There's a lot of hype around it. And I think some of the assumptions that people make is that it's the only way to get capital into your business. It's not, and it should actually be the last option. Not because it's bad, but I always say rather seek VC for growth. So in the very early stages, try and get what's like supplier development grants from corporates, grants from some, institutional investors, where some of them have like grants in the early stage to say, here's 100K, show us what you can do with that. Family and friends, I know most of us don't come from families that can just give you a 100K, but like just trying with your friends and family, because I think that's the best. That's very patient capital. People are not gonna hound you for their money because they fully support you. If you can't, try and get seed grants that are not, normally there are no conditions tied to those. Venture capital it's great to say I've raised 3 million rands, but it comes with a lot of pressure. Because investors don't invest because they are bored. They want a return. If I invest 500K, I want my return. And there's a reason why I'm investing. The nice, I guess, stage to be at is when you are raising for growth. So you've proven that this thing works. You've had 200 customers or whatever. You now require a capital injection for growth. Normally, that's the best phase of your startup, where you can boldly go to investors and say, hey, give me 1 million rands. I've proved my business model works. This is how much I've made. I need money to match my growth. I personally would only consider a VC investments for that. Even with VCs, start with angel investors, because it's normally people who are very patient with their money. There's still an expectation for a return, but it's normally a patient capital. It's not the same as, like if, I don't know, if a venture capital firm invests in you.
Yeah. Just maybe briefly, like 30-second vibes. Because I know, you have terms like VC, venture capitalist, angel investor jumping around. And from what I've seen in my experience, a lot of people don't really know what is what, and they don't really understand the terms. Could you maybe like briefly just differentiate, in your opinion, what's the difference between an angel investor and a venture capital?
I think the key difference
Like,
is that
the
angel
key
investors are normally people that are genuinely interested in seeing startups grow. It's normally at an individual level, where I say I have 100K per year, I want to invest in early stage startups. I'll still have my own terms. I want a bit of equity, but it's not the same as a venture capital firm. That it's a firm, it's a business. They're not investing in you because, like Sheila, they like seeing growth and whatever. They are after you because they want a return. And I think the major difference is, I think it's just angel investors are more flexible. Like someone can say, it's fine, you can, whenever I get the return. With VCs, the term sheet will say in 3 years or whatever, this is what we will require. If you are not able to pay us back, we'll take, I don't know what, of your of your equity. And then, of course, there's stages in investing, which I don't think we'll go into that. But they both invest for equity. I just think that the other option is more friendlier, less pressure, and it's normally individuals that are interested to work with early stage startups. And I think the other major difference is that the other one are normally the VCs are backed by an institution, whereas for me it might be my own money or it's money that I've raised from my friends or my network.
Okay. I think then the follow-up, the question that's coming now is quite relevant to what you just said. So as an angel investor yourself, like what prompted you to get into angel investing, and what metrics do you like look at when you're looking at investing?
So I think for me it was all about inclusion, to be honest with you. And then a cherry on top to say I can make this ecosystem more inclusive and still make my money and get my money back. When I started working with startups, I realized how venture capital as a whole, it's quite an exclusive space, mostly white males. And if I start talking about the biases that you see in VC, it will be the whole day. But shortly is that I think naturally people invest in people that look like them. I'll beg you quickly because I'm like, oh, Refilwe, she's black, she's female. Also for me personally, I'm very biased towards black females. Because I believe that so much work needs to be done to level the playing field. It's a long way to go. So I think that is why I decided on getting into this space. Just when there's someone like you that is making decisions on a table, they'll definitely consider you. If you have 10 white males and they're discussing deals, and I've seen this live, you see the biases, and being a female, whether you are white or black or yellow, being female, that's another thing. People assume that, no, I can't invest in Refilwe, she'll probably not be productive, she'll fall pregnant next year, and all those biases. And then but you've seen businesses, unicorns that are run by females. I mean, Bumble, my favorite, just raised, and Whitney was literally holding it. I don't know how old that baby is. She's still functional, and that's just how society has taught us that, there's these things, and you can say, no, we've transformed, but there's still biases, and biases are very subjective and personal things. Like it's something that someone does, and you can preach and preach, but if you don't do anything about it, nothing changes. So that's why I decided to get into this space. What I look for, I look for ideas that I know have an opportunity to add a lot of value to a lot of customers. So for me, if you say I'm working on a solution that will enrich my community, it will bring this service to a market that was not served before, I always look for impact. Also, are you solving a big enough problem? Because if it's a big enough problem, there's money there. People want to solve that problem. Maybe they don't know how, and you are doing it for them. Also, with the founder, it needs to be someone that I see I can trust, and trust is always based on what have they done, what is their profile. Have they worked on similar things, or are they in a corporate space that is similar to what they are trying to do? So the experience, not a perfect person, because there's tons of things that I don't know how to do, and I'm not interested to know how to do, but like a balanced team. I think that's the critical thing for me.
Okay. I think besides the financial support, what kind of support do you also offer the startups that you have personally then invested
I
in?
love getting my hands on the work. I'm very hands on, and it's something that I need to be careful about because you also don't want to take away the founders' creativity and their space to just run with things. So I just connect a lot of dots. So if I see, okay, you could get to your customers quicker if you collaborate with another startup or an established corporate. I always try and see if we could be strategic about it. Partner with someone. Sometimes you just also need fresh eyes on something, and I think that's what I try and bring to say, how about we explore this in this way, or how about we try it this way, or I connect you to whoever. But I mean, it's based on the founder really and the startup. I also like investing in startups that I can personally add value to. So products that I'm like, okay, I've worked on a similar startup, so I'll add value here. Um, I mean, I would invest in something like biotech where I don't have the experience, but then I would just make sure that I facilitate whatever needs to be facilitated with experts in that field. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to get the experts. I don't try and learn everything unless I'm interested in that subject, but that's normally my approach.
Okay. Speaking of biotech, it seems as if all the investors, or whether all the investors are looking to invest in tech startups, but not everybody is tech inclined. So, where would you say are some of the opportunities that you have seen across the African continent outside of tech?
I think, I always remind people that tech is not everything, and tech is not the solution in my own eyes. Tech is just an enabler. So you still have to have like a core solution. How are you solving this thing? And then you say, I'm leveraging technology to reach more customers, or if I build a technology behind this startup, a software, whatever it is, then a lot of people can use it. But there are great startups that are not tech enabled because maybe in that niche it's not really about technology, and there are actually impact venture firms. They necessarily don't look for technology driven startups. I also think that media also has a role in this. I think the PR goes to tech most of the time for IR, and like, what is this for IR? It's just how I think the narrative and the information that we have access to, and what gets highlighted a lot is technology, but there's still amazing businesses that are not tech enabled. I was actually reading the Catex what's it called, the report on venture funding in Africa, and they also measure growth in VC funds for technology, but they had a section where they actually say, there are methodologies that for this particular report, they don't include startups that are not tech driven, but they acknowledged some of the biggest investments that were not technology driven. So they are still there. I think there's still also investments, but the focus is on technology, which sometimes is weird because then we also highlight everything that is technology, which in itself, for me, I also find it a bit problematic, especially in our context where not everyone has access to a smartphone, Wi-Fi, all of those things. So for me, I'm also interested like in grassroots ideas, like this is how we are going to improve the transport system so that children in the Eastern Cape can get to school safely. I would invest in a startup like that, like not even flinching or thinking about it, as long as I can see that this is a great opportunity.
Okay. And then, okay, outside, okay, this is a bit of a different question. But for somebody, let's say me, let's say I wanted to maybe become an angel investor, what are some of the misconceptions that people who are interested in becoming angel investors, like what are the misconceptions that they have, like based on your opinion?
First of all, that you need to be rich. You don't necessarily need to be rich. I'm not yet rich. I mean, I've invested some of my personal funds, but there's different ways to do it. I think what my superpower is currently is that I'm very good with building ecosystems. Like I'm very good with leveraging partnerships and all of that. And just the work that I do, I have access to the pipeline. I have access to a lot of cool startups that are emerging. And that's one way that you can do it. I think like venture scouting and all of that. So sourcing startups for other people to invest in. You also get some equity from that. So you still make money, even if it's not now, it's in 5 years. So first of all, you don't need to be rich, but to get into the space, you do need to commit some of your funds in the beginning because no one is going to trust you with their own money when you haven't invested your own. So that's firstly, you don't need millions, maybe thousands to get started. And also you can do it in a group. So you can do it in a, I don't know, like you have 4 friends and you each put 1 rand because the startup is raising 4 rands. You can do it that way. There's it's called syndicate deals where I'm the lead investor and then I get my friends to give me some money and we invest in a startup. So you don't need to do it alone. And actually, it's not about the check size for angel investment. It's about how much that startup is raising and how much you are able to do. So anyone can be an investor, really. But you also need to be interested in it because you need to have interest in where your money is going and if it's going to grow. Unless you are rich and it's just giving away money. That's also okay. You can just give me some of your money and I'll invest it for you. Yeah, I think those are the 2 biggest. No, actually, the other one, the last one, people assume that the returns are the same as private equity. It's totally different things in my own eyes. It's more risky. Angel investing in VC is riskier than banks or an institution investing in you. How you are doing it is actually also the opposite. It's not the same.
Okay. I really enjoyed our conversation. I've also personally learned a lot. So we are reaching our final question for today before we move to the Q&A. And you also said that you like hearing people pitching. So we're just gonna have, well, it's not that they're pitching for you to invest, they're just sharing with the community.
That's
so that we can see what's happening in Bloemfontein. Yeah. So the last question from me would be with regards to the startup culture in SA versus Silicon Valley. What would you say are the main differences between the 2 ecosystem, and how do we then create our own culture across, I don't know, South Africa or the continent as a whole.
So I think when I spent time there, I was like, okay, there's a lot of money here, but people are just building the next pay stack, the next delivery thing. What we have, and which I think is a great a unique thing. It's not a we still have so many problems to solve as Africa, and for me that's opportunity on its own. Silicon Valley is actually as you know, it's a more developed ecosystem, so the risk, people are not scared to take risk. Also because there's money floating around, people willing to help you try out this thing without being scared that you don't know where your next meal is coming to is going to come from. That's another. The economy there is just not the same as ours. People are, when you have the opportunity to try out new things without the stress of school fees, food, everything, you will try it out because you don't need to worry about those. Whereas for most of us, I still need to consider, if I work on this thing that is not guaranteed to make me money versus getting a job, that's context. So the context is different. It's very different. There you can walk, you go to, I don't know, campus, like, oh, do you know Sheila? Sheila is an angel investor. Oh, hi, Sheila. Here, you have to DM Sheila on Twitter. You don't even know her because accessing people in these spaces, it's just not there. It's like this elevated group of people that you need to kneel in front of. And I guess it's also the fact that there aren't many very early stage investors. Opposite in Silicon Valley, people are like literally sitting there waiting for the next thing so that they invest. So money is there. Another major problem is what works there doesn't necessarily work here because of the context. Take an Uber here, the driver is gonna call you, hey Sisi, where are you going? Oh, you're going very close, I'm gonna cancel. Silicon Valley, oh, technology, everything works. It's, just those different, like contrasting experiences. And that is why I always caution people saying it works in Silicon Valley, it doesn't work here, or it's gonna work here. Same as incubation. What works in Silicon does not work here. We tried it the first year. It was just not that. It's just context, really. Context, and just money is there. There's abundance of money there, but we have abundance of opportunity in Africa, I believe. Like, we have a long way to go, but we have a fertile ground. I think also the culture of entrepreneurship is very mature and people have embraced it. Here, you still have to convince me, if I'm your mom, that this thing is going to work, because I'm worried, if you fail, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, I think for us, the pressure is a little bit more different. You can't walk around barefoot. Maybe today I'm going to lectures. Maybe I won't go and I'll work on the business. But I get what you're saying. So it seems as if there are quite a few questions in the chat box, and some of them are very long. So I'm assuming people enjoyed it as much as I did. But I think before we get into the chat, into the Q&A, maybe while you are looking through it, we can then give Ryan Main an opportunity to talk about what they are trying to do in Bloom. And I did try to put Gary on presenter mode as well, who's the guy with the startup. But I'm seeing he's not coming on the screen. So can Gary maybe just put in the chat box or something, like if you got the notification to be on speaker mode. But for now, while Sheila is looking through the chats, maybe Ryan, you can maybe just tell us quickly about the interesting stuff that you're doing. Your mic is off.
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It is such an honor to be here, and thank you so much for the amazing, rich presentation you just gave. I really enjoyed it. It was a full course meal. So basically, I'm going to just very briefly tell you about what my business is busy doing at the moment. We partnered with some national and international organizations to try and reach as many people as possible, new entrepreneurs, startups, early stage entrepreneurs, with free training. They literally, some of them are 15 minutes long, and some of them it's a series of 15-minute long trainings which can last up to 30 days, but it really focuses on key critical areas. So initially the person who came up with the idea said, look, let's sell this to as many people as possible. He wasn't making enough of a profit, so he decided, okay, let's rather get sponsors from the EU and funding from the EU and just have as big as an impact as possible. So that's where we're at now. So it's currently in, I think, 35 countries. And in South Africa, that's in Joburg. It's in, I think they're starting one in the Northern Province, and basically we're busy starting one in the Free State. So my company was approached and asked, would we like to start it in the Free State? So basically what it is it's one enabler. As also Sheila also very well said, technology is an enabler. And training is also one enabler. I think as a startup or as an entrepreneur, you need as many enablers as possible. But yeah, so what we want to do is we want to just reach people. So if anyone can, you can just email me for now, we're still busy deciding on when the launch date is going to be. But if you can just email me on web@legacy.live, that would be great. I'll put it in the chat box. If you're interested in the free training. At some stage, we also want to start bringing in other aspects like web development services, legal services, and other services such as that. But for now, we just want to really get our foot in the door. We've got support from government, we've got support from a lot of role players, and we just need to show them that it works. And we're going to develop it and grow it from here. So yeah, if anyone has any questions about that, please shoot.
Thank you so much for that, Ryan. Yeah, we'll also share the links on our social media platforms. So can you maybe disable your presenter mode on, because I see Gary is struggling to come on. Yeah, and then once you are off, I'll try to bring Gary back on. But I think in the meantime, Sheila, if there are questions that you've seen and that you would like to answer now.
I saw the one about how incubators. Oh, he said what would the key elements to have a sustainable incubation hub? Yes, that's very true. In the African context, incubators have been struggling because I think once again it's that context thing, where we take a model that works in Silicon Valley or the UK and we think it's going to work here. I think major incubators in Silicon Valley have been able to be sustainable because a traditional incubator accelerator takes equity when they invest in the startups. Most of us in South Africa don't. Even if we do, the money just doesn't come quickly. But also for me, it's a question of the model, which is, I think, for us what we've done. And once again, we are an incubator, but I think we have what do they say, an advantage because we are part of a university, and what we've done, we've used the IP that we've built over the years. So we design programs for other people. We have revenue streams that are separate from the core of incubation. So we are able to sustain ourselves because we've taken what we've built over the years, and now we are packaging it and selling it to other clients. Some of them are private institutions. So we do a lot of innovation training for big corporates that I, of course, can't mention here. And we are currently developing an incubation program in another African country. And that is us using what we've tested, this product that works, and now we are selling it. And I think that's what needs to happen with incubators and accelerators. Also, a co-working space is not an incubation program. That's the other thing in South Africa. You buy a few chairs and you say, this is a co-working space, guys. You call yourself incubator. And then you're like, what do you actually do? So there's also that. So, but I have to acknowledge the advantage that we have, probably because we are part of PPP, and people trust the IP that we've built, and we've put that it works. That's how we are keeping ourselves sustainable, and hopefully we'll get returns from the startups that we've invested in.
Okay, I think then we're just gonna take 2 more questions before we move to Gary. And can people just stay for his also presentation, because he is working on a really cool app, I think, or product. Let me say product and not app. So I think, Shiela, there's a question that I can summarize from Tabisile. So they work in precast concrete manufacturing, and they've been around for quite some time, and they're looking to raise capital. So they're looking to approach big corporates in the industry. Can you maybe just advise on how they should go about approaching them?
I just got distracted with the person that is speaking now. It's really tough, hey, but I think for me, it's about, have you identified institutions that would fit what you are trying to do? So if you are in concrete manufacturing, have you looked at bigger corporates that are doing it that you could add value to? I think this is another thing. When you are building a product as a new business or a small business or early venture, I know corporates have a lot of money, but to be honest with you, they are also looking at ways to innovate so that they don't get disrupted by the smaller guys. So what I would do is I would identify another maybe bigger institution that is in the same space with you. You put together a proposal to say, we could provide you with XYZ. This is the value that we would bring to your institution. Once you know that, then it's a matter of networking, going on LinkedIn. Don't cold pitch though. Don't like add me on LinkedIn. You don't even greet me. You don't engage with my content. You're like, thank you for accepting my, I am looking for 500 rands. That always gets me. I'm like, what? Who are you? What do you do? You know, so it's just a matter of identify. I mean, I would be happy to chat with you, not because I have a solution, but like I can give you a few pointers on what you could try, and see if I have people in my network that can put you on. I'm not in that space. Concrete manufacturing is also quite a capital heavy industry. I tried construction, lost a bit of money. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do have Tabsilu's email and number, so I'll
Okay,
share it
that's
with
fine.
you, Sheila, and then I
Sure.
can take it from there. And then the last question before we go to Gary is okay, it's from CP. It's what is the best possible way to stimulate the adoption of tech in traditionally managed businesses, such as the ones we have as the majority in the free state?
Yeah, that's always a very interesting. It's something that I'm actually passionate about. We have to acknowledge that in the context of our country, even though technology adoption has skyrocketed, we've left so many people behind. We call it what the digital gap. And for me, for as a specific business, I will just look at what is it like. It doesn't need to be a major thing because you also don't want to shock your customers. So your existing customers, they used to come to your store, pay cash, and now you say, no, guys, I don't take cash. So I think it's adopting slowly a process in your business. It might be a payment process, a booking process, I don't know, whatever you are doing, and saying, okay, we could probably save a lot of time and money here if we use, a pay fast to pay. But you don't say to your customers, hi, okay, guys, we do not take cash. We only use pay fast. Do you have a credit card? It's not gonna work. People probably don't even have credit cards, or they are scared to even use credit cards on your own machine. So it's really knowing your customers, and then slowly adopting that technology. So like slowly introducing it, and I think we need leaders there. So we need people who are going to champion it. We might need a program where we take traditional businesses, we put them into a program to say, how can we enrich your experience as a business through technology? That's an idea of a program that someone could run there. Like you said, you're like, okay, you pay come up with people, they line here, there's COVID, it's too many people, mama. How about you tell them these are the slots where you are, like little things like that. Or it's a big wholesale. There's lots in Pumalanga where you go. I'm like, there isn't even, I can't use my card here. You just introduce things to people. I do also think that there's a lot of work to be done by corporate South Africa, because those are also mostly their customers. We need corporates to invest in rural areas or towns that are quite isolated. We are trying that in Philippi, actually, where we are co-creating products with corporates and the community. I can talk the whole day, so I'll stop. I'll stop there.
I can tell that this is an area that you enjoy very much. So I think that was the last question before, and then we can go to Gary right now. So can everybody just
okay, I'm
stay tuned?
Hello, can everyone?
But we
Okay. No, I just want to say thank you, Sheila, as well. I've taken down so many notes now just while you were chatting. And I really appreciate all the advice you've already given me. I'm not going to take too long. The product I want to pitch is actually supposed to be as simplistic as possible. So as you'll see here, it is a bracelet. I don't know if my camera quality is good enough. But it's an NFT.
can we
Yeah, I was trying to hold it up against the shirt because I think it fades away into against the wall. But what it does is it's got an NFC chip inside. So there's an NFC chip embedded here, and then majority of smartphones all come out with an NFC reader already installed into your phone. So it's a medical alert bracelet. What you do is you tap it there. Okay, I just want to lower my phone brightness and everyone should be able to see. So you tap it at the back at the reader. Then, as you'll see, all my medical information is displayed on the phone itself. So how how it works is we program all your medical information onto the bracelet. If the paramedics, say for example, find you lying on the side of the road, it's as easy as just tapping the back of your phone, tapping the back, and then all your information is displayed there. So for example, if you're diabetic, you can put that information there. Even for children, if a child gets lost, their parents' numbers can be programmed onto the bracelet. There are so many practical uses in which you can apply this product into. But our main motto, our organization is called Cloud Chip. Our motto is saving lives one chip at a time. Yes, thank you. Is there any questions?
Wow. I think, I don't know if anybody else has questions for Gary, or if maybe Shiela, if you'd just like to maybe give him words of encouragement of the sort. But what I want to say is that I'm quite happy to see that that you're somebody from Bloemfontein, because we are trying to encourage tech startups in Bloemfontein. So it's quite, I'm quite happy to see that at least there is a market for us, and for you to really just continue engaging with us, because you are also the kinds of people that we're trying to reach. So I don't know if anybody has a comment, or if Shiela, you would like to give maybe words of encouragement.
Well, encouragement to both of you, Ryan and Gary. Is the chip, is it like, is the geolocation included there? I think that would be so cool for kids, especially where, I don't know, like the chip could be linked to, or a location activated somehow. Is it something that you've thought about?
That is something I've got for the future plans. At the moment, I don't have enough capital to actually venture into that area. But I do have a notebook where I just keep all these plans. And it's something everyone asks, and I've been looking forward to eventually getting there. And then also with all the COVID that happened. But we are looking into it. We're trying to what I want to eventually do is replace your watch strap. So you can wear a normal watch, and then you've got the NFC chip embedded in your watch strap as well. So it's a lot more fashionable in that sense as well. And then the next step is a watch itself. So an Apple Watch that has geolocation, for example, a similar looking watch to an Apple Watch. Then it's got geolocation, and an important thing that came across is an SOS button. So if you're in trouble, you can press the SOS, and then your location gets pinged to your emergency contacts immediately.
That's a huge one.
Does that answer your question?
In South Africa.
Say again?
No, I'm saying that's a huge market for South Africa, the SOS button, and there's various ways that you could do it. You could link it to family members, or like a security company, so that people
because especially say again.
I think, Gary, because of time purposes, I know the conversation can go on.
Look, I can talk about this forever as well.
I see CP asked a question there. I don't know if Shiela wants to answer it now, or if she'll think about it.
I'd like to answer CFA's one question. Can any individual buy the band, and how much does it cost? At the moment, it's mostly just me. We are trying to target getting into pharmaceutical companies. We're trying to get into a shop so that we become retail. At the moment, the price for one band is 250 Rand, which is already beating the price of your stainless steel, let's call it a diabetic bracelet. They go for about, I think it's 1,000 Rand. And this one holds more information as well. It's not just a diabetic. You can put as much information on it as you possibly can.
Wow, I didn't think you were that far on in the project, but it's quite amazing that you're already selling it. And then we'll also share some of your details on our web, on our social media, so that if anybody's interested in getting one, they can contact you directly.
Nice, thank you.
So yeah, I think then we've reached the end of our session. So I don't know if Sheila, there's something that you like, any closing words for like from today's session, and then we can wrap it up. I don't know if you have any words.
I don't know, just to say thank you for having me, and I hope there's a few people that took out at least one thing out of the conversation, and just to encourage you in the great work that you are doing. I know sometimes it can feel slow, especially when you are not in a tech hub as Cape Town is. But yeah, just keep going. We need champions like you on the ground. And thank you once again, and thank you for the engaging audience that we've had today.
Okay. Before we go, guys, I just want to say thank you to each and every single one of you that came to the session, and I really also learned a lot from Sheila, and also took a few things from Ryan and Gary, and I'm happy to see that there's progress in the ecosystem. And to everybody that stayed listening and engaged, thank you so much. And before Sheila, I let you go, and Ryan, can I maybe just take a picture of, can maybe everybody turn on their, what do you call it, their video, so I can take a picture, and then I can let you guys go. Okay. Okay, thank you. So once again, thank you so much to you, Sheila. I think this is one of our best sessions that we've had. So thank you so much for being so open with your experiences and really giving advice to our startups. So I think our engagement is definitely not gonna end here, because there's still some things that I want to ask you. But once again, thank you so much for agreeing to share with the community.